The Archfey Warlock has the ability to charm or frighten foes in an AoE around himself, as well as being able to turn invisible after taking damage, then being able to teleport for free on the next turn, and then follow it up with an attack. Hey guys, Omaha here, and today I'm going to show you everything you're going to get for levels 1 through 12 for the Archfey Warlock. Bound by a pact to an all-powerful patron, Warlocks trade their loyalty for supernatural abilities and unique magic. As a Warlock, you'll get weapon proficiencies in simple weapons, which adds your proficiency bonus to attack rolls with those weapon types. Basically makes it easier to hit, and then you'll get light armor proficiency. So wearing light armor will not impose a disadvantage on your attack rolls or prevent you from casting spells. Warlocks also get the class feature called Warlock spell slots. What's different about Warlock spell slots as opposed to regular spell slots is that the moment you unlock level 2 spells or level 3 spells or 4 or 5 being the max, all of your spells will be upgraded to that level. So as soon as you unlock level 3 spells, all of your spells will be level 3. Here I'm max level 12, so I've unlocked level 5 spells, and now all of my spells are level 5. So they're automatically upcast at the highest level. So if I cast Hypnotic Pattern here, you'll see it uses 1 Warlock spell slot, and these also recharge on a short rest. So here I use a short rest, and I'm back to full. It's like casting 3 max power spells per battle. You're then going to choose 2 cantrips from Blade Ward, Bone Chill, Eldritch Blast, Friends, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Poison Spray, and True Strike. And I highly recommend taking Eldritch Blast. It's one of his best cantrips, and you'll see why it gets better later on. So with Eldritch Blast, you're going to start out being able to use 1 beam. Once you hit level 5, that's going to go to 2 beams, and at level 10, that's going to be 3 beams. Each one of those has its own attack roll, and so what that means is they all have a different chance of hitting, and if you're attacking an enemy that's using a concentration spell and you attack them with all 3 beams, that's 3 separate chances of breaking their concentration. Also, if you use Hex on an enemy, they'll take additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage every time you damage them, and so if you hit them with 3 of these beams, it's going to add the 1 to 6 necrotic damage 3 different times. So since Hex is a bonus action, I'm going to use that on him. There, you just hit with Hex. Now I can use Eldritch Blast. Hit him with all 3. And since I killed him before my Hex went away, I can cast it again without using a spell slot. You're then going to choose your subclass, and for the video I chose the Archfey. Graced by a lady or lord of the Fey, you're imbued with all the sumptuous and scary qualities of your patron's extraordinary realm. This is going to give you the ability to choose these 2 spells, Fairy Fire and Sleep, and it'll grant you the action Fey Presence. Charm or frighten nearby foes with the Feywild's beguiling, disturbing magics. So when they're charmed, they can't attack the spellcaster, and the spellcaster has advantage on charisma checks and dialogue. That part of it doesn't really matter too much. And then frightened, they won't be able to move, and frightened entities also have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and both of those are going to last 2 turns. So Phase Presence is going to recharge on a short rest, and it's going to give you 2 actions. So here's the charm version. Both of them were charmed. They're not going to be able to attack me for 2 turns. And then here's the other one, which does frighten instead. So he passed the save, but this guy was frightened. So he's not going to be able to move for 2 turns, and he'll have disadvantage on his attack rolls and ability checks. You'll then choose 2 spells from Armor of Agathes, Arms of Hadar, Charm Person, Expeditious Retreat, Fairy Fire, which is from the subclass, Hellish Rebuke, Hex, Protection from Evil and Good, Sleep, which is also from the subclass, and then Witch Bolt. And then you're going to apply your ability points. So keep in mind, Charisma is definitely your most important ability. You want to get that as high as possible as it affects your spellcasting ability, which is your chance to hit with certain spells. You're then going to choose your skill proficiencies, and you can choose 2 from Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, Religion, Deception, and Intimidation. So if you're proficient in a skill, it's going to add your bonus to those skill checks and makes you more likely to succeed. Once you hit level 2, you're going to get another health increase. You're going to get another Warlock spell slot, which brings you up to 2. You'll get 2 passives called Eldritch Invocations. So in your study of occult lore, you have unearthed Eldritch Invocations, fragments of forbidden knowledge that imbue you with an abiding magical prowess. And these are going to be Agonizing Blast. When you cast Eldritch Blast, which is the cantrip I recommended to you earlier, add your Charisma modifier to the damage it deals unless it is negative. So with a Charisma of 17, I currently have a Charisma modifier of +3, so that add +3 to every beam of Eldritch Blast. There's Armor of Shadows. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself at will without expending a spell slot. Mage Armor increases your armor class when you weren't wearing armor. There's Beast Speech, so you can cast Speak with Animals at will without expending a spell slot. There's Beguiling Influence. You invoke your patron's bewitching charm. You gain proficiency in Deception and Persuasion. In the beginning of the video when I chose my skill proficiencies, this just adds Deception and Persuasion for you. There's Devil's Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 80 feet. Fiendish Vigor, you can cast False Life on yourself at will as a level 1 spell without expending a spell slot. False Life grants you 7 temporary hit points. Mask of Many Faces, you can cast Disguise Self at will without expending a spell slot. One with Shadows, you learn how to cast One with Shadows, so that'll make you turn invisible as long as you stand still. Repelling Blast, when you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 15 feet away from you. And then Thief of 5 Fates. Once per long rest, you can cast Bane using a Warlock spell slot. So Bane targets up to 3 creatures. They receive a 1 to 4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws. So that makes it harder for them to hit you, and it's easier to hit them. You'll then be able to choose another spell, and then you can replace a spell since you're limited on how many spells you can have at one time. So to do that, you just click in here, choose whichever spell you want to get rid of, and then choose a new spell you want to replace it with. All right, at level 3, you're going to get another health increase. You're going to get improved Warlock spells, so now all of your Warlock spells will be level 2. You're going to choose another spell, and now you'll have access to level 2 spells: Calm Emotions, Cloud of Daggers, Crown of Madness, Darkness, Enthrall, Hold Person, Invisibility, Mirror Image, Misty Step, Phantasmal Force, Rave Enfeeblement, and Shatter. You'll then choose your Pact boon. Your patron bestows a gift upon you for your loyal service. Choose one of the following pacts. So there's Pact of the Chain, where you'll gain the service of a familiar, a fey spirit that takes the form of your choosing. This can be an animal, imp, or quasit. So Pact of the Chain is going to grant you this Find Familiar button down here. You click that, and then you will get 8 different options. So you'll have the Find Familiar cat, and the cat's going to have meow to attract enemies to it, as well as this claw attack for 2 damage. You've got Find Familiar Crab, and the crab has Maiming Pinch attack for 2 to 5 damage and will inflict pinch for 2 turns. So they'll take 2 piercing damage at the beginning of each turn, and its movement speed will be reduced by 10 feet. You have the frog. So the frog has Buffotoxin. It touches a creature and possibly imposes disadvantage on its dexterity saving throws for 10 turns. You have the rat, and the rat has Infectious Bite for 1 damage at a creature and infect it for 10 turns. So they'll have disadvantage on Constitution saving throws, and its Constitution is reduced by 1. You have the Raven, and the Raven has Beak Attack for 3 damage, as well as Rend Vision. So it can attack a creature's eyes and blind it for 1 turn, where they'll have disadvantage on attack rolls. The range of their attacks and spells will be reduced to 10 feet. Also, attack rolls against blinded creatures will have advantage. And then the Raven is also able to fly. Then you have the Spider. And the Spider has Bite for 2 to 5 piercing and poison damage, deals 1 piercing damage, and possibly deals an additional 1 to 4 poison damage. Then you have the Imp. And the Imp has claws that do 4 to 7 slashing damage, invisibility until a long rest. So that'll end if you attack, cast another spell, take an action, or take damage. He has Fly, just like the Raven. And then he has a Sting attack that does 5 to 13 piercing and poison damage. So it'll deal 4 to 7 piercing damage and possibly deals an additional 1 to 6 poison damage. On the save, they're just not going to take the poison damage. And then finally, we have the Quasit. So the Quasit has 4 to 7 damage on claws. He has invisibility. He has a scare, so you lash at a creature to frighten it for 2 turns. And that's a range of 20 feet. Pact of the Blade, you can summon a Pact weapon or bind the one you're wielding, making it magical. So Pact weapons use the wielder's spellcasting ability modifier instead of its strength or dexterity. So for the Warlock, that's going to be Charisma. So Pact of the Blade is actually going to grant you 2 different actions. The first one being Bind Pact Weapon. Bind to your main hand weapon. Its damage becomes magical. You cannot drop or throw it, and you become proficient with it if you weren't already. So when you're proficient with it, you add your proficiency bonus to its attack rolls, and you're able to use special weapon attacks. You can only have 1 Pact weapon at any time. So before using that, my quarterstaff has 0 to 7 damage. I use that. It's now 4 to 11 damage. The other action you're going to get with that is Pact of the Blade, where you summon a weapon to your hand, and it's going to use your wielder's spellcasting ability modifier with magical damage. So this is where you choose one of 6 different weapons. The first one's going to be the Battle Axe with 4 to 13 damage. It's got Cleave, Lacerate, and Maiming Strike. Then you have the Glaive with 4 to 13 damage. This one has Rush, Lacerate, and Brace. There's the Great Sword, and it has Pommel Strike, Lacerate, and Cleave. Then you have the Rapier with 4 to 11 damage. It does Flourish, Piercing Strike, and Weakening Strike. The Trident, which does 4 to 11 damage with Rush Attack, Piercing Strike, and Disarming Strike. Then you have the Warhammer with 4 to 13 damage. This one has Backbreaker, Concussive Smash, and Weakening Strike. All these weapons are permanent, and then you can use this action again once per battle. And since these all do different damage types, like the Battle Axe does slashing, the Trident does piercing, and the Warhammer does bludgeoning, you'll be able to take advantage of different enemies' weaknesses. And then there's Pact of the Tome. Your patron grants you a grimoire called the Book of Shadows, which allows you to cast Guidance, which is the best cantrip in the game, in my opinion, Vicious Mockery, and Thorn Whip. Personally, I don't recommend grabbing Pact of the Tome because it's not worth it compared to Pact of the later Pact of the Chain, but it's up to you. And then finally, you'll have the option again to replace a spell, just like with every level. Once you hit level 4, you'll get another health increase. You're going to be able to choose another cantrip. You'll get another spell to choose from, first 2 levels. You'll have the option to replace a spell again, and then you'll be able to choose your first feat. At level 5, you're going to see another health increase. You'll get the class feature Deepened Pact. So pleased with your service, your otherworldly patron added new boons to the terms of your pact. If you chose Pact of the Blade, you'll get an extra attack with your pact weapon, so you can attack twice per turn with that weapon. Pact of the Chain, your familiar will get 2 attacks per turn. And Pact of the Tome, you'll be able to cast Animate Dead, Haste, and Call Lightning once per long rest. Level 5 is also where your Eldritch Blast will get a second beam, and then you will choose another passive. So you'll have a couple new ones. You have Mire the Mind. You can cast Slow with a Warlock spell slot. Then there's Sign of Ill Omen. You can cast Bestow Curse with a Warlock spell slot. Then you'll be able to choose another spell, and now you have access to level 3 spells: Blink, Counterspell, Fear, Grant Flight, Gaseous Form, Hunter of Hadar, Hypnotic Pattern, Plant Growth, Remove Curse, and Vampiric Touch. At level 5, all of your spells are going to be upgraded to level 3 as well. Then finally, you have the option to replace a spell. Level 6, your health's going to go up again. You'll get the subclass feature Misty Escape. Upon taking damage, become invisible. So you'll have advantage on attack rolls and impose disadvantage on enemy attack rolls. On your next turn, you can cast Misty Step, which is basically a teleport that uses a bonus action, though this will break your invisibility. He's going to attack me. I'll take damage. It's going to pop up asking if I want to react using Misty Escape. Click yes. And I will turn invisible. And they're not going to really know how to react, I guess, because it's taking a while. They got to think about it. So now it's my turn. I can cast Misty Step for free, which is basically a teleport. Here's the range of it. Got a range of 60 feet. So I can go up here and get the high ground. Once you use that, it's gonna take you out of your invisibility. And since it doesn't cost anything, I can use a spell right after. You're also going to gain another spell, and you have the option to replace a spell. Level 7, your health's going to go up again. You're going to get another Eldritch Invocation. Now you have Book of Ancient Secrets, so you can inscribe magical rituals in your Book of Shadows. You'll gain Ray of Sickness, Chromatic Orb, and the Silence spells. And you can cast these spells once per long rest, and they don't expend any spell slots when cast. Dreadful Word, you can cast Confusion with a Warlock spell slot. Sculptor of Flesh, you can cast Polymorph with a Warlock spell slot. Then you can choose another spell, and now you have access to level 4 spells: Banishment, Blight, Dimension Door, Dominate Beast, and Greater Invisibility. This is also where your spells are going to be upgraded to level 4. And then finally, you can replace a spell if you wish to do so. At level 8, you get another health increase. You can choose another spell from the first 4 levels. You can replace a spell if you wish to do so, and you'll choose your second feat. Level 9, your health's going to go up yet again. You're going to choose another Eldritch Invocation, and you have 3 more this time. Minions of Chaos, where you can cast Conjure Elemental with a Warlock spell slot. Otherworldly Leap, you can use Enhanced Leap without expending a spell slot. And Whispers of the Grave, where you can cast Speak with Dead without expending a spell slot. You're going to be able to choose another spell, and you have level 5 spells: Dominate Person, Hold Monster, and Seeming. And this is where all of your spells are going to be upgraded to level 5 as well. And then finally, you'll be able to replace a spell. Alright, at level 10, your health's going to go up yet again. You're going to be able to choose another cantrip. You're going to get the subclass feature Beguiling Defenses. You have built stoic barriers in your heart and mind, and you cannot be charmed. So now the charmed condition will never affect you again. You're going to be able to choose another spell from the first 5 levels, and you'll be able to replace a spell. And this is also where your Eldritch Blast will get its 3rd beam. Level 11, you're going to get your health increase, your 3rd and final Warlock spell slot. You're going to be able to choose a Mystic Arcanum. So you select one of your level 6 spells. Once per long rest, you can cast that spell without expending a spell slot. And your options are Circle of Death, Arcane Gate, Eye Bite, Flush to Stone, and Create Undead. The only unfortunate thing with this is you can't cast a level 6 spell other than that one time for free. So even after you use it and you want to use a spell slot to use it, you can't. You're then going to choose another spell from the first 5 levels, and then you have the option to replace a spell. Finally, we've got level 12. We're going to get that final health increase, and you can choose another Eldritch Invocation with one extra option: Life Drinker. Your melee attacks deal additional necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier. This one goes great with Pact of the Blade. By this point, you should have a charisma of at least 18, preferably 20, which would be either +4 for 18, or if you had 20 charisma, you'd be +5 to your charisma checks. So that would be +5 necrotic damage on every melee attack. So if you combine Life Drinker with Hex, where you're getting an additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage per hit, and that being a bonus action, you can trigger that on one turn. And then you have 2 actions to hit. And you get just a bunch of necrotic damage added on. You're going to be able to choose another spell from the first 5 levels. You have the option to replace a spell if you would like to do so. This is your last chance to do so. And then you'll choose your 3rd and final feat. And that'll cover everything for the Archfey Warlock in Baldur's Gate 3. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It helps me out quite a bit. Also, let me know down in the comments how I can improve and what else you guys would like to see. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.